Hi everyone, my name is Adrita. I have recently submitted my PhD in linguistics at JNU, and today I'm talking to Dr. Enakshi and Adrita. She and I, we have been at the same center and we have known each other for quite a few years now.
10 years.
Oh, right, 10 years,
Yeah.
right. So she has also submitted, she has actually completed her PhD. She has a degree from JNU in linguistics, and today very happily she's teaching at IIT, and her book on Ulti is about to come out, and we just wanted to have a conversation about it. So why don't you tell us a bit about your work, the PhD, which is now turning into a book?
So it was 2016 when I started working on Ulti, when I discovered that there is in fact a secret language that is spoken by the hijras and kotis of India. There was a paper that had come out about Farsi, which is spoken in Pakistan, spoken by the hijras and kotis of Pakistan. And my supervisor and I wondered if there is something similar happening in India and whether that could be my PhD topic. And happily, we found out that there are certain varieties of secret languages that are spoken in India, and that's what led to my journey with Koti, with the Koti and Hijra community, and with Ulti. So it's been 8 years, and finally, my book on the subject is about to come out in April 2024. The book is known as Embedding Subversion and Gender Identity, Ulti, the secret language of the hijra-koti community, and that's what we are going to be talking about today.
Yeah. So the first and foremost thing, of course, your work is on Ulti of the hijra-koti community. So of course, the first question that comes up, please tell us a little about this language.
And
what about the name?
The publisher is Tulika Books.
Yes, we have to mention those.
Yeah. Yes.
So first of all, let's just just tell us a bit about the name, the nomenclature itself, because it's a word we already know.
Right.
Yeah.
So Ulti comes from the Bangla word ulto, which means reverse or upside down, right? And even if you're a Hindi speaker, you must have heard of ulta, which means the same thing. So there is nothing in Ulti that is structurally reverse. So for instance, we hear about reverse languages where, let's say it's the word karna. So karna has been reversed morphologically, so it's na, ra, ka. That is how we, those are some languages or some examples that we've heard about in certain cases. Ulti is not like that. So we do not have any reversal of the words or the sound systems of the language. What we have is a case of ideological subversion, not even reversal. So what do I mean by that?
Exactly, I was going to ask you that. So please.
We live in a kind of community which is fairly conservative, heteronormative, cisnormative, patriarchal, the kind of society where it is not quote unquote normal to be a transgender. It is not quote unquote normal to desire somebody who is perhaps of the same gender as you, or at least they look like they are of the same gender as you. So let me give you an example. If you have been born in a male body and then you desire somebody who also has a male body, but then maybe you actually identify as a feminine person, maybe as a woman, maybe as neither a man nor a woman, maybe a trans person. If that is the case, people basically see it as a homosexual relationship or desire, and that is a taboo in our society. That has been a taboo for a while, right? So Ulti is basically, you see, in our languages, especially Bangla, because Ulti is spoken by the Bangla speakers of India and Bangladesh. So speakers of Ulti would be born into families where there would be no vocabulary for being gay, for being trans, right? Whatever words you do have for being a hijra, for instance, they are not good words, right? They are words that are used as pejorative terms, as galis, as abuses.
These are historically tainted
terms socially, and that's why for a child to just come out to their parents and say, "Oh, I think I'm a hijra," no, you wouldn't do that. That doesn't work that way. Because the moment you do that, you are putting yourself in a negative description definition. So Ulti basically emerged out of a very constrained linguistic space where there is no option to be something apart from a man or a woman, a man who loves a woman and a woman who loves a man. There is not really much option besides being those things. So that is where the need arises for a language uh, that is not normative, that is different, that talks about identities and desires and subjectivities that is not uh, typical and known to everybody. So Ulti basically is an ideological subversion of the conservative, hegemonic discourses that have defined Bangla society. That is where Ulti comes from, and that is where the name Ulti comes from.
Okay. Okay. Great. I have two follow-up questions regarding this very thing you said. First of all, could you like maybe slightly like in a gist explain what does subversion this word mean?
Subversion. Subversion means when you have a system that has been well established and is followed as a sort of tradition, as a sort of traditions that are considered norms in society. That this is normal. This is the way things should be, right?
Yeah.
And this is the way things are. For instance, many people today would tell you that marriage is normal. Not wanting to marry is not normal.
Yeah.
But then that is a belief that we have arrived at as a society. That does not necessarily mean that marriage is normal for everybody, or that marriage is desired by everybody,
Yeah.
or that it is necessary for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? So subversion basically means challenging ideas that are very entrenched in society, that are considered the normal, that are considered the ideal in society. A challenging of that is subversion.
Okay. And the second question is, of course, because you have talked about this language belonging to the hijra-koti community, could you tell us a little bit about that demographic, that community itself?
So I'll begin with the terminology, hijra and koti.
Yes.
Most of us are familiar with the figure of the hijra. We've seen them around. We've heard the word. We've heard the name. We've seen them on television now, right? There are movies about hijras.
Yes.
So hijras are basically persons who are assigned male at birth, who are sometimes intersex, and who are mostly ostracized by their families and abandoned because they show characteristics that are not normative. They don't behave like a person who has been assigned male at birth. They don't behave like your quote unquote normal or ideal boy. The reason I keep using the word normal so much is because I'm talking from the point of view of a society that has very fixed ideas of normality and abnormality. We are challenging that idea. We are saying that no, of course, quote unquote, because there is no normal unless you as a society define it as such, right? So hijras are basically people who have mostly been abandoned by their families for being non-normative masculine persons, persons who desire feminine or femme persons, persons who are sometimes celibate also. And kotis are similar persons. The difference is that hijra is basically known as a pratha or a tradition. It can also be known as a sexual or gender identity, but mostly people within the community describe hijra as a tradition. So if you're part of the hijra tradition, then you have basically made an alternative family or kinship system. You've made up an alternative society where you are, creating a space for yourself to exist in, because you are a bunch of people who are not accepted into mainstream societies anymore. So you've made a subculture or an alternative hijra community, and that community has a very intricate design. It's very intricately structured. It has a family system, a leadership system. There is professions attached to the hijra community. There is something called ponching, which is a paralegal system that is associated with the community, where they judge any misdemeanors or any problems within the community. They resolve disputes. They assign fines and punishments to people who have done something wrong. So there is an entire community that exists.
It's almost like an alternate society.
It is an alternative society. And kotis are people who have not been abandoned by their families.
Okay.
But so that is the primary distinction. But you can always be a hijra and a koti together. Most hijras are in fact kotis, whether or not they identify as such. Kotis may not be hijras because they may not be part of the hijra community specifically. They might not be part of the hijra system specifically.
When you say all hijras are kotis, but kotis are the ones that you are saying that who are the ones who have not been abandoned. So why, when you then say that all hijras are kotis, like how do you
No.
explain
Koti
that?
is the gender identity.
Okay.
Koti is who you are when you are born into a male body, but you align yourself with an identity that is either gay or femme or trans feminine. That's when you're a koti.
Got it.
You're just not as ostracized and marginalized as a hijra. That does not mean their lives are easy. That does not mean they don't face a lot of discrimination and a lot of ridicule, bullying, mockery in their families, in their schools, in their social circles,
most domains of their lives.
And that is why there is a huge overlap between the hijra and koti community. There is a lot of interaction between the communities because you are always, especially as a minority, looking for people to identify with. And when you find people like yourselves in a certain part of society, you will spend time with them. That's normal human behavior. That's normal. That's a desire to find home or find recognition or find relatability in a world that does not make you feel very accepted.
Yes. When I think about this entire phenomenon, of course, we have talked about it earlier. We have had so many conversations about it. One of the things, like as linguists, we know how natural languages get formed, right? It happens over time, and there are so many social factors, political factors, economic factors, geographical factors. We all know that there are so many factors that give rise to, one variety, then shifting into another variety, and then becoming a language on its own. So like I wonder, like how far back does this language go? How was this language formed? How did this community decide to form a language like this? Because it seems like a more thought after plan, whereas when we think about languages, we don't think that these are right. So and also, as you said, it's a secret language. So maybe also, tell me a little bit about like why the secrecy, which I can understand why, but tell us a little bit.
One by one. Sure. So please remind me of your question in case I forget.
Sure. So let's just start with the formation. Like, how did this language come into being?
Yeah. So firstly, we do not really have any documents that tell us much about Ulti. We do not have. Ulti is not a recorded language. It has not been recorded for a while, but we can hazard a guess that maybe it has been around since 17th, 18th century. A few centuries for sure. We do not have any fixed dates of anything. So what I need to be mentioning here is that I mentioned the variety that is spoken in Pakistan. It's called hijra-Farsi, or just Farsi. I'll just give you a little geographical overview of the language before I get into the other details. So wherever there was Mughal rule in the South Asian subcontinent, we see the presence of hijras there, right? From Pakistan to West Bengal to North India to Bangladesh, basically this entire area that has seen Mughal presence has seen the presence of hijras. So in all of these areas, we see the presence of such secret languages. We see Farsi, which is pronounced Farsi, in Pakistan, in various regions of Pakistan. So there's been studies done in DG Khan, Dera Ghazi Khan, it's called, in Rawalpindi, in Lahore, and I have heard of also a variety that is spoken in Multan, which are all distinct from each other, but also clearly varieties of the same kind of hijra-koti language. So that's hijra-Farsi, sometimes Chanderi Farsi. In Delhi, we have a variety called Farsi, which is pronounced Farasi. Farsi, but essentially the same thing. This variety is also spoken in parts of UP. So Lucknow, Banaras is where studies have happened. There is a variety that's spoken in Surat. There's Hijra Farsi spoken in Mumbai. They're all called the same thing.